What is up? What is up, agent content creators? Oh, wait, that was my last podcast. Holy crap. Like 9 of these today. Like, no joke. And it closed the property today. Did it close? Did it close? No, not yet. All right, here we are. Real Amigos. I got my good friend Ian of Austin, as always.
Hey, what's up? What's going on?
So, man, we got to hang out quite a bit. I mean, we got pretty damn intimate last week.
Don't be telling people that. You can't be telling people that, man. That's our secret.
We're super intimate. If you saw last week's show, Ian and I literally were sitting side by side the whole time. I want to get to my guests today. As always, the amazing Sarah Morris, White Morris, Sarah Shermone. Sarah, our favorite lender, CMG. What up, girl? How are you?
Hey, I'm good. Kids are in school, well, all except for my little one, and things are going well. And I love this market shift we've been having for my buyers. So I'm doing great.
Nice. And so we're going to talk about what's going on in the interest world of Sarah's interesting comments and interest because she sells loans. Guys, I feel like I'm high right now. It's been a long day. Roland is in the Bay Area. He is a realtor with Real Broker. He's got one of the craziest, coolest Instagram channels I've seen. He does some really amazing videos, but he helps some great people. And he's going to be sending Ian and I about 1,400 clients over the next 5 years because everyone's evacuating the Bay Area. Right, Roland?
Exactly. It's a mass exodus, dude.
Wait, let me ask you a quick question, though. Welcome to the channel. Glad to have you.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah, man. Let me ask you this, though. Are you still seeing a lot of people leaving the Yay? Or, sorry, for those people who don't live in California.
Don't do that.
Are you still seeing people leave, or what's the deal there?
Not really. I mean, to be honest, I probably have had like 2 clients at the most actually go to Texas. None of them were in Austin. Really what I see the most is people going to other places of California. That's like a lot of Sacramento, a lot of El Dorado Hills, if you guys have ever heard of those areas. But realistically, people that have come to California, I've seen a lot of Idaho. But it's really, to me, if you look at the stats, it's really not a huge amount of people that are honestly leaving California.
So what part of the Bay are you in?
We're in the East Bay area, so it's hard to pinpoint exactly what that is. But what people most likely see is Oakland, Berkeley as the number ones, and then it goes all the way out to different parts. But what I would like to say is Contra Costa and Alameda County would be more distinguishable if it was just by county. But overall, East Bay is about 25 different cities.
25 different cities. Can you imagine 25 different cities to sell in Austin, Ian?
Sure.
Sarah,
I mean, what do you want to say about it?
Like, I feel like I would be being like, do you have a mobile command, Roland? Like, how does this work?
Right. Yeah. I just have fleets ready to just hit each and every different city. No, it's funny because they're all, without traffic, they're all about 35 to 40 minutes from each other. So I know probably Austin, you guys probably go from one side of Austin to the other in that amount of time, maybe, possibly.
At least.
Here's the thing. I mean, we know it's growing rapidly, and I feel like we're not too far from being in that type of scenario. That's why I'm like, wait a minute. Like, all you are is our future.
Right. Exactly. So is there going to be, but there would never be sub-cities within.
There
Austin,
already are.
right?
They're not cities, but there are already subsections within Austin, even though it's small.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's why I kind of designated to East Bay, right? Because it's hard, like with how small our cities are, it's weird to just be like one city. San Francisco makes sense, maybe Oakland, Berkeley. But other than that, it's so, compact.
Yeah.
I lived up there. Oh, sorry.
I gotta show you this because I've never put it on my wall since we moved in the new house.
Oh, that's dope.
Yeah, it's the breakdown of all the some of the old school Austin neighborhoods.
Did you get that made?
Yeah, I wish. I was trying to have them make it so I can, put my little ads and stuff on there, but
I need one of those.
It's great.
I love that. I was just going to say that I actually lived up in that area in Moraga for a little bit. And we used to drive to Berkeley and San Francisco and everything. And it's definitely, you don't have to drive as far to get to those places, but it is gorgeous. But I can imagine how you get to all those locations. that falls under your purview to help.
Yeah.
I feel like you almost need a helicopter. So I spent a lot of time in the Bay Area. I know the Bay Area very well. I didn't live there, but when I say a lot of time, like almost every weekend. So I spent a lot of time in the Bay Area. For all my friends leaving the Bay Area, I understand. I get it. Sarah, what's going on in the mortgage world? I want to hear from you. Roland, this is really important to you too, because you sell real estate. So guys, I'm not even lying. You guys are going to help me out here. I feel ridiculous. I've done 4 podcasts today and I shot a video for my channel. So like my brain is out the door. So anyway, Sarah, what's going on? What's the word?
Yeah, sure. So, I mean, the real big news was that the Fed went to Jackson Hole for their symposium. And so,
cool, good for you. You go to Jackson Hole, you bastards. Anyway, go ahead. Sorry.
And so everyone was kind of on, like, I won't say pins and needles, but everyone was really kind of waiting to see how Jerome Powell would come back with his speech or his little talk that he had on Friday, which ended up being just 8 minutes long. But everyone was really excited to kind of hear where the Fed was at, to kind of get a temperature of like, okay, with this next Fed rate hike coming or in September, and then also the projection for the upcoming months, where's their head at, what they're going to do, so that can help trigger, because the people that can, so the bond market and the stock market listen to all that. And also it's really important for us to know like what they're going to do with that piece, especially since you have Fed presidents and Fed chairs like Bostic coming out and making comments. And then this morning you had Loretta Muster coming out, who has been known to be a flip-flopper. And so it's just been really interesting to hear what that feedback was. So basically he came out and he just talked about the pain. He talked about the pain that we would see in the US and that the everyday person would see as they fight through this inflation. So right now we are projected for the 75. Bostic came out and he is the Atlanta chair, and he came out saying on CNBC, oh no, I'm thinking 50. And then after the November one, that'll be the last one. And then it was signaling they might take a pause, which was actually not a good thing at all for the bond market, because that signals that the Fed won't do everything they need to do to fully combat inflation. And then that is really bad news for long-term long-term securities like mortgage-backed securities. So that started affecting the bond market in a negative way. Fed, when Powell came out and did his speech on Friday, that affected everything in a negative way because he didn't come out with a concrete plan of this is the action plan. This is what we're doing. We're combating inflation. This is how we're going to get there. And so it just didn't have that vote of confidence that it needed to really make the bond market feel secure and have confidence in what the Fed's doing. So right now, the bond market, MBS security, mortgage-backed securities are, kind of going the other way a little bit after we saw a nice decrease with the last Fed rate hike. So, rates have gone up a little bit, but overall they're down since June. I mean, it's kind of looking at under a microscope versus like big picture at this point. But the Fed members just need to, I don't know, think about what they say before they come out and say it.
Well, I mean, look, it doesn't help that we talk about this. I don't want to get political, but every week we're passing another bond or bill or executive order that's actually doing the opposite of what the Fed's doing. I mean, they don't work together. So you have the Fed doing everything it can to help combat inflation. And then we're like, oh, let's spend another $2 trillion on this, or let's spend another $2 trillion on that. And only $800 million for student loan forgiveness. Ian and I talked about this last week. So all of those things don't help as well, right? Those aren't like a vote of confidence. But Roland, get as political as you want here. Go ahead, man.
Just take the floor.
Yeah, go for it, man.
The common thing here, of course, is Newsom, right? We get a lot of people that are Newsom haters. Not a big political guy myself, but yeah, I mean, you guys would hear more, I guess, chatter than I do, to be honest, in terms of like California, because I'm born and raised here, heard it all, hear it on a daily basis. So not too much on my end, to be honest. I mean, obviously we have Biden's thing going with, is it good or bad for the economy with that? I mean, we all kind of know the answer to that. We all know about, student loan forgiveness and stuff like that. But I would love to hear your guys' thoughts as Texans in what we deal with here in California.
What specifically? Like, what do you mean? What we deal with? Give me something that you want to talk about.
I would say, ultimately, the decisions that really our governor or what you hear that the decisions made here in California.
So last week I remember seeing an article talking about they approved where every new construction home moving forward will have to be all electric. Is that true? And tell me about that and how you feel about that.
Very true. As you guys know, we're super over the top on everything, I would say, here in California. So the crime decisions rolling. So, I mean, yeah, it's true. Like, there's no fireplaces are a thing of the past, right? It's not happening anymore.
Well, you can't even
they have electric fireplaces, right?
Yeah. I need
wait, hold on.
That real flame, though.
California can't have fireplaces anymore?
Wood burning it's out, dude. Totally gone.
What if you live in the Central Valley and that's like your primary heat source?
The Central Valley? You mean like where it's hot as hell?
Well, have you been in the winter in the Central Valley? I have.
Like,
it's cool.
We're never dipping below like 50 degrees, like 55 at the most.
But like Central Valley, like it gets down to freezing in the winter. Like there's farmers out there that burn fields. Like what is that like?
Jeremy, it doesn't matter. You don't get fireplaces, okay?
You're done.
Just no fireplaces.
We're doing everything.
Wood burning.
Fireplaces.
No, so, all right, so
outside.
Let me tell you something interesting. So I'm going through a full house remodel. He's gone. I'm going through a full house remodel in my house right now. I decided to keep, even though it would have been a little bit better for the layout of the house, I decided to keep the 1950s wood burning fireplace because I think down the road it's going to be one of those things where if I do sell or whatever happens, people are going to say, "Ooh."
You mean like a car that makes noise?
Right, yeah, exactly. Look at this unique thing. Yeah. So, I mean, and then you guys also heard about, I don't know if this is worldwide or I'm pretty sure it is. I doubt it's just California, but which has been in the works, banning all motorized car sales by 2035?
Yeah, that's pretty commonplace.
Yeah,
a lot of places are starting to do that.
Go ahead. I mean, like, even Elon's putting out stuff saying, hey, we can't just ban fossil fuels in 10 years, whatever. Like the dude who has actually created a electric car that is highly used is saying like, hey, you can't go fully from gas to electric like that. It just doesn't happen.
He's talking about other things, other sectors. They're not able, like farm equipment. They're not going to go.
Exactly. How are you getting an all electric crop duster?
I mean,
I'm sure Elon has
happened. It's just not there yet.
Yeah.
And I think that's the point. Like everybody else moves so slow.
Yeah.
That's a great point. Have you guys ever been to San Francisco? Anybody?
Yeah. I was. Yeah.
Sure.
Wait. Are we talking positives or negatives? Where are you going to go? Where are you going to go with that?
So this is what I want. I mean, to me, I'm not a San Francisco person. That's why I sell East Bay. I'm not. I maybe go out there for events when they have some cool stuff out there. 2-3 times a year, and it's only 45 minutes for me. But personally, not a big fan. I kind of find it baffling when people vacation in San Francisco.
Well, hold on though. Hold on. Let's take a step back. And we've talked about this a lot too. Wherever you live, a lot of people they don't spend time in the area they live, right? They spend time in all these other places. So people from San Francisco have vacationed in Austin. People in Austin or anywhere else have vacationed in San Francisco. So it's not weird. It's just, when you get there, you're not that impressed.
You don't take advantage of the thing that's right there in your backyard, right?
I think that's
other people. We're talking about other people.
He has to say, if you live in San Francisco, don't you have to like step over bombs every day when you're walking through? Like,
bombs,
is that still
you can call them bombs?
Yeah.
Landmines. Needles.
Landmines. There you go. Yeah.
I didn't almost fall off the trolley, but Lauren was scared is how I'll say it. She's like, get back in here. You're wearing a backpack, right? Like, oh,
that would have been awful.
I drove through San Francisco because I lived up in, like I said, Moraga for a year, and I was the only one with a car. And I remember driving to San Francisco, and they're not being left-hand turns. And I thought I was going insane. And I was like, I cannot turn left anywhere. How do I get out of this place? And then finally we figured it out because because I had this amazing sense of direction. So we were great.
Get out of the car and take an Uber. That's the answer.
I learned my lesson. And so after that, we just took the BART and walking and some other things. But I mean, it's a cool little place. I mean, it's definitely has a lot of like variety and like restaurants, and you have Lombard and you have Girardelli Square and all that other like touristy stuff.
The Girardelli Square, that's the Italian village?
Girardelli Square is the chocolate. So that's where you have.
Got it. Yeah.
You're thinking of Little Italy.
Little Italy. There you go. Thank you.
Aaron says the worst part of the Bay for me is the people. South Park nailed it.
I love to
Aaron,
watch
dude.
that episode. Yes.
Yeah, Aaron, that's a good one. All right. I didn't bring you on just to talk crap about San Francisco, but I want to keep staying on the market here. So we're starting to see, I mean, I put up the interest rates, and the interest rates are definitely ticking back up. We saw a low in August. Now they're about to close to where the high was. So asking everybody here, as far as interest rates going, we have seen that they've cooled down different markets. You could say it was interest rates. You could say it's a handful of different things, but definitely the Austin area has cooled down as far as the amount of people purchasing. The Bay Area, I would imagine you've slowed down a little bit. So I want to hear from everybody. Number one, I want to hear what's happening in the Bay Area, but then two, I want to hear from everybody. What are your thoughts going forward with rates ticking up? Start with you, Roland. Sorry.
Yeah. So what happened here? Of course, you guys know there's a lot of tech, a lot of workers in tech out here. So when interest rates first hiked, people are very, very particular about the areas that they want to pick. Rightfully so. It's a lot of money to spend out here. But when everything kind of took a dip, including stocks, a lot of these guys and women were using their stocks in order to put down payments for houses. So when that happened, they just got wiped. So that's a lot of our buying pool here in the Bay Area, especially the East Bay. When COVID hit, that was the biggest mass exodus I've ever seen, was the amount of inquiries of people going from San Francisco, South Bay over here to the East Bay, because a lot of people were paying for private schools because schools were a very big deal. They went over to the East Bay. We have some of the best schools in the state. And a lot of these people got rid of those private school payments, got bigger houses, and said, hey, let's do it. So yeah, really tech, was the biggest thing. I'm seeing personally a lot of buyer action picking up here in the East Bay. I don't know what it is, because interest rates, like you said, they've ticked up a little bit. I think people are just kind of getting comfortable with the new norm. It just took them a couple months to sit on the sidelines.
What are you seeing, Ian?
I like that phrase, the new norm, right? Because that's what it was before pandemic times,
Yep.
right? I think I agree that there are still buyers out there. I think what's changing is the speed of transition. So people that are looking to move, they're not going to just jump as quickly as they would before, because before there was so much pressure. Now you have options, and I'm seeing that. And I think, like you said, if they have a lot of resources in stocks or whatever, they still have equity. A lot of people still have equity in their homes, but that requires a very certain commitment or certain decision that they're going to use that equity or leverage that equity to be able to relocate. So it's not as easy. It's not as immediate as it was a couple months back.
Get Rex says, I want to get to Sarah, but says, I live in the East Bay. It's nicer and you get a bigger house cheaper too. What area of the East Bay though? Because Walnut Creek's a lot different than Pleasanton. So, Sarah, so what are you seeing? I mean, you're on the mortgage side. We're seeing a lot of mortgage lenders find the exit door. So what are we seeing on your side of things?
Yeah, sure. So as far as if you're talking about industry wide, yeah, a lot of lenders are getting out of the business because a lot of them got in the business when, the pandemic hit and rates got super low, and they're like, this is easy money. And now they just don't, they can't handle the change. And when you actually have to work and educate and know more about your products, it really helps your kind of like your specialty shine. But anyway, so as far as buyers are concerned though, Yeah, I mean, I think Roland was right. I mean, it's the new norm because everyone has kind of like a short memory, especially when it comes in this industry. And I think there was the initial shock of having the increased rates since we had low rates for such a long time. And that was new. Like you had a lot of millennials and first-time home buyers that just had never lived in that realm before of rates being where they are today. And I think they've gotten used to it. And now that on Ian's point, things have slowed down. The rate that transactions are happening has slowed down, where buyers are actually able to, look at the home and decide, is this the right home for me? Versus feeling panic or FOMO and like, oh my gosh, I have to get this now because I'm not going to get anything else, and I have to put so many hundreds of thousands over asking and just to get this deal. Now they can take their time and really decide this is the best purchase for them, especially now that their monthly payment's different and it's, a bigger decision. And I think I've seen relief in buyers because they don't feel so rushed. They don't feel panicky. They're able to actually make that decision and be happy with their decision. And I think that makes all of us happy because we're all here to help our buyers at the end of the day. They're our clients. We want to see them happy. So I've seen that. I've seen an increase in government loans. So I've seen an increase in my buyers, my FHA buyers, my VA buyers, actually able to win contracts. I actually had a conversation with a gal yesterday that was like, because we were talking about different options for her and FHA made the most sense. And she was like, oh, well, my friends, they bought last year and they were saying that no one's accepting those. Will that work? Is that okay? And I'm like, yes, like the market has changed. It's, it's normalizing. And I actually just closed several government deals this month. And that is something that you're good. Like you'll be okay. Like you're not going to be counted out just because you have a government loan and not a conventional loan. So I think that's kind of nice that it's bringing people back into the fold that are able to buy homes now that couldn't before. But yeah, I mean, the only other piece on the high that I'm seeing too is that you have some of the investors coming in trying to buy more home than like they're trying to buy like a $900,000 home, which maybe they at a certain, monthly payment that maybe they could like a year or so ago, but now they can't and they're not happy with that. And that's it. That's just is what it is.
Now the same home is 700,000. They're like, well, what happened? It's like, well.
So Aaron says here, and Roland, I want to get your response to this, but do rates really matter? The market will balance out and people will have the same monthly payment. And then Dan would respond to that. It's like, what are your thoughts on that? And give Aaron a hard time because Aaron gives us a really hard time on this channel. Love you, Aaron.
Yeah, he does.
I think Sarah could answer that better, but I would say that, if the interest rate jumps up, it's going to affect your monthly payment a lot more than the price is that it's coming down, which is really, we're not seeing a 20% price drop, at least out here in the East Bay area. We're seeing at the most, difference, and you can't really compare it because we were still comparing every month over month when it was really crazy for it to keep going up and up and up. But we're seeing at the very most, 3 to 5% is what it would sell for now versus 5-6 months ago.
What's interesting about that question? I actually really like where his mind is at because what happens is you have what's the phrase? You don't know what you don't know. So unless people have been in the market consecutively for more than 12 months, they haven't been buying this whole time. So someone that's just now entering the market, they're not going to know what happened. I mean, they're going to hear all the ruffling, but when they go to get their pre-approval, they're going to say, okay, this is what I can afford. Great. That's what I'll go for. They won't know that they could have gotten a $900,000 house. They're going to say, oh, I can get a $700,000 house. Great. Let's look for that.
Right.
Great point.
Well, what's interesting too is that what Sarah said, I think makes a huge difference too. So I shot a video today that'll come out next week, and I was looking at price points. And one of the interesting things that I saw is there are more homes available than. So Ian, beginning of this year, we were like, there's 1,600 homes in the market. There's 1,800 homes in the market.
Yep.
Like, and then if you tried to search price points, if you're looking under 500, it was like 80 homes. I mean, it was stupid low.
Right now, we have 1,600 just price decrease.
60, yeah. But if you were to put up a search real quick, under 400, there's like 1,300 homes available. So what Sarah said is really, really important. I think people that are watching this, whether you're looking in the Bay Area, Austin, wherever, with more inventory comes more possibilities. And I just don't mean just finding a home, but loan type, because now maybe you can qualify for an FHA loan. rate might be higher, but maybe you put less down. Right. And Sarah's been on this channel several times saying like, hey, don't buy down the rate because it doesn't make sense. I had somebody yesterday call me like, oh, the builder's lender is going to charge them a 3% origination fee. Oh my God. At it was Milestone's lender. And basically the rep was like, hey, you might want to get a second opinion and just try to get these down. 3% origination fee, but the 3%, I think like 2% of it was buying down the rate.
Was
That's
that
like
a wink wink? The second opinion?
Yeah, second opinion.
Yeah.
So
Oh my gosh.
do you all see with prices not jumping as fast? Yes, interest rates suck, but do you think that a lot of these buyers that have been FHA, VA, sitting on the fence, like really should be looking at the market now and like going, okay, I can actually find something, or what should they be doing? What advice would you have? Start with you, Roland.
I'm going to say yes and no. It's really tough out here in the East Bay because I say a lot now that blue collar workers are very, very few options, like very, very few options. So ultimately it comes down to your monthly payment and what you're comfortable with. If those people are just kind of high earners, but not the best savers, essentially, sure. If you can afford that monthly payment, then absolutely. If you're on the fence, go for it. But at the same time, I do think what I'm seeing more of agents do, especially out here in the East Bay, is really promoting down payment assistance programs. And to me, they're just the most unrealistic thing, especially here in the Bay Area with what the price points are, because of just an absurdly high monthly payment and then a higher interest rate, which it usually comes with as well.
It's a fair point.
You say absurdly high monthly payment. What are you seeing on average?
Yeah, Aaron wants to
For
know.
our price point, I'm seeing $600,000 homes, $650,000. If you put a very, very low down payment down, 3.5%, you're easily $5,000, $4,500 a month, which is just not obtainable for a blue collar worker out here.
Yeah, and that's not including insurance costs or any of that, or now electric costs.
Yeah.
And cost to maintain a home. It sounds like those blue collar workers, Roland, should move out to the Austin area where we have homes in the 400s.
Not wrong. So at 400s is that. So tell me how far you are from your metro area of Austin, your downtown, whatever you want to call it. How far out are those $400,000 price points? And I can tell you guys the same thing over here.
30 minutes.
Yeah, 30 minutes is still very solid in a lot of places, man.
That's really good.
Yeah.
Yeah, out here.
But also, we have a deregulated energy. I don't know if you have that, but with that, I mean, some people can get solar and get paid back or not have an energy cost.
There's nothing in California deregulated.
Yeah.
You can't even fart in there without it being regulated.
No, so same thing, right? Like if you're talking about Antioch, California, Jeremy, if you're familiar with that.
Know it very well.
At the most, you get your 3.1, 3.2 right now at about 550. Decent, not your like honest like cosmetic fixer. I'd say anywhere from the 5 to 550 range. And then you're from Oakland, let's just call it our next.
That's like an hour drive from Antioch, isn't it?
Exactly. Yeah. So, I mean, you got Walnut Creek, call it a 40-minute drive, 45, and different.
But you're like $2.5-3 million at Walnut Creek.
Yeah, easily.
Yeah.
You're 4 bedrooms, 3 bed, 2 baths. You're in. It's
funny you say that. You can transition to the Walnut Creek here, and you're about back down to 400. 500.
Yeah. Walnut Creek here isn't as exciting as Walnut Creek in the Bay Area.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Get Rec is in San Leandro. Is that your area?
Yeah.
Roland, you work that area?
Oakland.
I'm moving to Austin from East Bay, waiting for a new build to be done. Oh, interesting. Where's your new build? That's been interesting. We actually, oh man, one of my agents on my team had a buyer back out of a new build.
How much money did they lose?
Yeah, I've had a few agents on my team do that. I've had clients do that.
$28,000 to back out.
Woo. Hold on, I got one. You ready for this? 66,000.
Whoa.
But we just executed a $2 million contract this morning. So
there you go.
All right.
Well, that's not bad.
Nice. Yeah. Well, I mean, do you think, because I know your situation on that one, do you think that she could have just held off and then purchased the other one later? Do you think it would have gone up in value from the time she put in her contract?
Still multiple offers.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, are you talking about the new one or the new build?
The one that she got a contract on or backed out
No,
on.
that it ended up being multiple offers, and it
Oh,
was
well.
right by Lake Austin in a gated community. No way. No, this was
No.
we had to
Wow.
go for it. Rare
New
opportunity.
build is not really in Austin, it's in Bastrop. Well, I mean Bastrop's.
Everybody
Ba-
says Austin, and they're not. They're around. They're 30 minutes from.
Yeah,
Bast-
that's what Austin is. Everything's Austin.
That just goes back to the point we were talking about earlier, right? We say Austin, and it's all the greater metro, but eventually, nobody's gonna know the difference.
Yeah. I think there was one question, and it was asking about like comps and things. And I was gonna say that brings up a good point because there's actually an appreciation that, like, so Case Schiller, which came out with a statement this week, and it was actually really positive, and it was reminding. I have the quote, but basically they came out, and I'll go ahead and read it because I thought it was really powerful to remind folks that we're not seeing a decline in appreciation. We're just seeing a deceleration. So basically, what they actually said were prices are clearly increasing at a slower rate. It's important to bear in mind that deceleration and decline are two entirely different things, and that prices are still rising at a robust clip. June's growth rates for all three composites are at or above the 95th percentile of historical experience. For the first 6 months of 2022, in fact, the national composite is up 10.6%. In the last 35 years, only 4 composites years have witnessed increases that large. So we're still seeing really great appreciation. It's just at a much slower rate than what we saw in the last 2 years, which was unprecedented. So I think that's a good point to bring up, that we're not seeing negative appreciation. Homes aren't losing appreciation.
Right. I mean, it's going to be interesting to see what happens 2023 because he's not wrong, but there's a lot of people that leading up to like June, like went crazy trying to get homes. And then all of a sudden, like the market just kind of fell out from underneath us. So it's curious to see what happens with them. I mean, obviously, I'm sure all of you can agree with this. Don't buy a home if you're only going to hold it for a year, right?
Oh,
or
gosh.
2 years.
Absolutely. Not.
So, all the people that bought really at the height of this market, I think will be fine 2 years from now, right? They're not, probably right. I don't even think they're stressing right now about it because they're in their home. They're happy. I would say the only thing and plus they got such a stinking low rate for most of those people, got such a stinking low rate at the time that it's like, okay, like even if the price is coming back down, like they're still the same rate. Or like if they bought that same house for 6% now, but they bought it for 3.5%, 4 months ago, and it's come down 60 grand, it's still a win for them. So we'll see what happens.
I had a client hit me up. We were chatting on like one of the social platforms, and he goes, "Look, man, I just feel like with the quality of construction for the home that I bought, I feel like I overpaid." And I'm like, God, that hurts, right? Because it was a higher tier builder. And obviously we were in a situation where you had to pay what they were pricing them at. So he does have the interest rate advantage, but also he was VA, so it's not like the property taxes are relevant. So it's just one of those things where that's the kind of stuff that I'm worried about hearing in the future. Hey, I bought this house. I don't know that it was the quality that I was looking for.
Right.
Might be a future listing soon though,
Let me ask you guys this. Before when everything was still very crazy, 5-6 months ago and before, did you guys have a lot of sell and buys? And what was your experience with those? For me personally, it was some sellers, it was hard to see the crazy price they were getting for their home. And then they were focusing solely on what they were paying on the buy, where that was a huge thing that they, you kind of had to remind them of.
Most of my sell and buys were to leave, right? Or like further out, not necessarily leave the state, but further out.
Lucas brings up a good one here. Lucas, what's up, man? What's up, guys? I read an article that Schiller is predicting that in 23 to 24 prices will go down an average of 10%. 23, 24. Do you think it would be it would go down that much here in Austin? That's a tough one. I mean, I just put out a video this week talking about Micron bringing another $8 billion plant. It's not going to bring as many jobs as I thought it would, but you have these big chip making plants coming out here and dropping so much cash in the Austin area. I find it hard to believe that we're going to see that much. Now, there might be a 10% decrease at some point because like people that bought maybe in June or closed in June of this year, and we go to June of next year, and if we don't get back up to 660, which was May was our high, 660 was our high for the median. So if we don't get back up to that by next year, then yeah, you're going to see a decrease, and that's going to look scary next year. But if we're still 10% over the previous year, I mean, it's not that big of a deal. What are your thoughts?
I think the biggest thing about a chip manufacturing company is, our industry, the salaries that are going to be paid, right? Like what kind of house can you afford on those salaries? Even if they're dual income, that's still, I don't know what majority of people that is moving to work at a chip manufacturing or living in those areas. So that's definitely the macroeconomics that we need to pay attention to.
Roland, are you guys going to see a 10% decrease in the yay?
In the yay.
He loves that one.
Yeah.
It's a bold statement. I think it kind of goes back to the same thing, right? I mean, the jobs are here. Really, we have seen a big increase in inventory. That increase in inventory isn't what it needs to be in order for that to, I would say, do a 10%. So I'm going to go ahead and say that's going to be a no for at least the East Bay area. I won't speak on San Francisco market because they're seeing a lot of pressure over there.
Interesting.
What do you
See
think,
that,
Sarah?
that bottom comment? Get wrecked.
I didn't see it
Don't day trade at home. You'll get wrecked. I like it.
like that.
Did I
So
say Tesla? You did. All right.
I mean, as far as the prices go down an average of 10%. I mean, Austin's historically been strong. There's jobs here. And I know that it's kind of in reference to what, I guess, is my question. So as far as like the peak, like will housing prices go down an average of 10% from like the peak of what they were, this year? I mean, or is it going to go an average of what it is today of 2021 numbers? Like I need to look at the article to see what that is. I think housing prices, I would defer to y'all, have gone down a little bit because I think people got really excited and they were like, oh, I can get this much for my house, so let's just go for it. And so they got to a point where they were pretty high, and then now they've slowly been trickling down. But as far as
it's pretty interesting, and Ian, I'm sure you saw this too here, is that there's an article, and I keep referencing this article, and it was out about 6 weeks ago. And it was talking about the cities with the most equity, right? Number 2 on the list was Austin. Number 1 was San Jose. So Austin had the most equity. And what's interesting, after that article came out, what we saw was a bunch of homes hit the market and a bunch of people dropped their prices. Now, people aren't going to drop their prices unless they have equity. If you I had a client right now that we ended up leasing the property because we're getting really close to where, I mean, she still would have made money, but it wasn't where she wanted to be making money. So she rented it instead. So I think you're seeing a lot of people panic price drop, and a lot of the inventory that we're seeing right now is going to succeed. It's going to come back because this time of year, what we're seeing, and what I'm hearing from a lot of people, correct me if I'm wrong, Ian, is a lot of people are going, I can't get the price that I thought I was going to get, so I'm going to rent the property. I was just on a podcast with Jordan Moorhead. He's here in Austin, and he's like, yeah, I have all these investors that put homes up and are now pulling them back off the market and renting them. But rental rates in Austin have gone up so much. So now they're looking at the rental rates going, well, crap, I can actually get what I wanted to rent for it, so I might as well rent it out. So I think a lot of this inventory is going to pull back, and then we'll start to see prices really level off at the end of the year. Who knows what's going to happen in 2023? I'd rather be in a house than not in a house, though. What are your thoughts, Ian?
Yeah, I think I have had that situation come up quite a bit where it just made more sense. And we'll always have that conversation, my clients and I. If it makes more sense for you to rent it out, Where it gets weird is when they're saying, I'm going to rent this out and then go rent something else somewhere else. I was like, wait, I don't know if that's what I meant. But I've had people do that too.
Yeah. Oh, that's weird. That is weird. I mean, I see, like, I've said that to people out, and I don't know if you've ever had this conversation with people. It's like, okay, I have all this money. I want to buy an investment property, but the reality is that I'm afraid I don't really want to buy that badly because I know that I'm going to be traveling a lot. So I don't want to deal with a property. Well, I have a friend. We bought a house years ago for $315, and it was it was like $299, multiple offers. We bought it for $315. We just sold that thing in the height of the market for $625, and for 3 years he didn't step foot in that house. He Airbnb'd it for 3 years. He Airbnb'd it. He lived in it for 2, sold it, but he lived for 3 years. He's traveled all the time. So think about that. Like, if you're somebody that's gonna be traveling a lot, it's okay to have a property that you can Airbnb while you're gone and at least make up the difference and have somebody pay the mortgage. I mean, what are your thoughts on that, guys and ladies?
Yeah.
I mean, he's basically owning a property, gaining equity, and not paying rent wherever he's going. I mean, it's the best situation to be in, because I'm assuming that there was some kind of net profit there that would at least cover his expenses for the property and probably his travel expenses too. So he's basically traveling wherever for free. So
Yeah,
I love that.
Anytime that you can own property and then have an income stream, make an income stream from it where it pays for itself, essentially, I think is a good deal. Like, and if you have an opportunity to buy property and if you plan on holding it, you most likely are going to have some sort of equity in the long run, and you can utilize that to help continue build wealth in other ways. So I think any opportunity where it fits in your budget and you can buy property is a good one, personally.
I was at this woman's house today and I asked her if I could buy her house. Just flat
Really?
out, hey, can I buy your house? Yeah. And it's because she has a camper hookup. There's no HOA. She's got land, and it's a duplex with a separate mother-in-law suite. I was like, this has everything. So the duplex has a separate entrance. She's got a separate mother-in-law suite, pool in the back. It was everything. And it was dead center of Austin. I'm like, okay, this is great. She's like, I'm not moving for 2 years and I have an agent. I'm like, oh, okay. Whoa. I didn't say anything about your agent. I'm just offering to buy it.
Well, so you just saw the house and you're like, let me just knock this door.
No. I was actually picking up a chair that my wife liked. And then we started talking. She's also from Chicago, like I am. She used to be a real estate agent. And we were just in the same place a couple of weeks ago. We go to the same dentist for, what do you call it? Medical tourism. So we go to the same, it was just a really cool conversation. And then I was like, can I buy your house? And that killed it. Killed the vibe.
Ian definitely knows how to kill the mood.
Yeah, it was good though. I mean, that property, one day I'm gonna send her an offer that she can't refuse.
All three of us, minus Sarah, were at Tom Ferry last week, and one of the things somebody was really talking about on stage was like, as agents, is like, hey, why aren't you offering to buy more clients' homes? Roland, so the question to you is, how many homes did you offer to buy this week? We left on Thursday, so it's been almost a full week.
Right. This week, none, dude. There's not. I think I'm definitely. I have one income property. It's a duplex in Vallejo. If you guys have ever heard of Vallejo before, it's not the funnest area of the Yay, Jeremy would say, but
Californians using these slang words. Geez.
But no, to be honest, that's what I was going to bring up too, actually, is starting to lean people more towards that don't have these high down payments to out of state investing, to places like Austin or San Antonio or wherever it may be, because it just doesn't make as much sense investor wise. And you guys all know that Bay Area has never been a huge investor friendly area.
Well, Sarah, what are you seeing for investor rates right now? Because I think that's something too. Like, we have a lot of investors that buy cash, but like for investor rates, what are you looking at right now? I'm sure it's like crazy. Or is there like a 10-1 arm that you'd recommend instead?
So actually, we've been doing a lot of kind of some out of the box financing for my investors. If you look at because you're correct. If you look at a fixed rate, standard 30-year fixed rate loan, or even when you look at like 10-1, 7-1 ARMs, or 7-6 ARMs or whatever, the rates aren't that great. I mean, you're going to look at anywhere from, oh gosh, you're paying points. Basically, it's a high rate plus points with most options. So most of my investors right now, we're looking at either cash flow scenarios. We're looking at our all-in-one loan, which is proprietary to my company, but it's a great way to kind of leverage equity. And then you can actually use the funds from that house to help you buy more and invest more in the future and kind of be your own bank a little bit, which is kind of cool. And that is simple interest. It's not amortized interest. It's a totally different type of loan. You're doing like a 30-year HELOC as a purchase or a refi. And then as you pay down your equity line, it becomes a free line that now you can use that money to buy an investment property. So I have one client right now, he's buying an investment property and he's using this. It's a $1 million home out in Lakeway. And now he's going to have this credit line of almost $800,000. He's going to sit his assets in there. So it credits it to the line. So now he has a free line of credit for, hundreds of thousands of dollars. And now he can pull from that anytime he wants to go buy another investment or to put a significant down payment on for another property. So, and he, has 24 access to his funds. So it's really cool. So I'm kind of focusing on finding other ways to benefit those types of clients that aren't your standard, fixed rate ARM options. Cause those are not pretty. Like you're going to see 7%, 8%, things like that. So let's find another way to help it make financial sense for you.
So Aaron wants to know, why would you use that instead of a blanket loan?
Why would I use the all-in-one loan instead of a blanket
instead of like
loan?
a conventional?
Because it's a principal first type loan. So in this instance, this gentleman, he's saving $600,000 and he's going to have the home paid off in 8 years versus 30, which is huge. And then you have this open line of credit line that you can use.
I gave you a client that was talking about that same thing. And, we've been talking about it too. It makes so much sense when you really start looking at the numbers. It's incredible. And it's one of those things when you pitched it to me, Sarah, you were like, this is something that most of the people in the US can't even fathom because that's not how our system works.
That's what I was thinking while you were talking about it.
Yeah.
Our brain doesn't work that way. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, you tried to sell me on that. And I was like, or actually not you, your other guy. What's his face?
Justin.
Yeah. Herboski. He tried to sell me on it. I'm like, bro, this sounds so out of left field. I don't know. So, but so it works by when you're paying down, when you make a payment or you have other funds you put in there or move in there, it's paying down the principal versus the interest. How much do you end up spending in interest when you do a loan like this?
So it's simple interest. So it's not amortized. So it's not like so with a standard loan with an ARM or with a fixed rate loan, you have amortized interest that is the interest you will be paying. Once you close, that's the interest you're paying. That's how your payments are done. And then your payments are split, with same payment, but this much is interest, this much is going towards principal. With this, it's simple interest and it's purely based off of there's a sweep every evening on what your balance is for that line of credit. And so it's simple interest calculated every evening based on what that line is. Now, the cool thing is it's attached to a checking account. So if you have, let's say the average American has about $25,000 in savings and checking. And that is accumulating 0.003 interest, it's just sitting there, and so why not have that money work for you and save you money? So if you have that sitting in this account, then that automatically gets credited to that line. So it reduces it. So let's say you have 100,000 in that line, you have 25,000 now in that checking. So you're only paying interest now on 75,000 versus 100,000. So it automatically, and you can pull that money out whenever you want because it's your money. So so the interest is calculated daily every evening on a sweep, depending on what your balance is in your account. If you have hopefully you're making more money than you're spending, right? Hopefully all of us are doing that. So if you connect this to where this is where your main deposits go and they just sit there, then it automatically, shows the lower balance, you're paying less interest because it's all going directly to principal first and crediting against principal first.
Interesting. So if somebody's, first time home buyer, is this just not something they should do, or is it something they should think about?
So it depends. There's definitely certain criteria you have to meet. You have to have at least a 700 credit score. You need to have a minimum. It's 10% of the loan amount in reserves. So it's definitely meant for the type of client that has money in the bank, that has great credit, and that likes to have control of their money. If you come to me and you're like, hey, I want to get a loan, I just want it set and I don't want to think about it, I'm so bad managing my money, this probably wouldn't be a good option for that person, because you need to be able to manage your money well and not be the type of person like, oh, I have this like credit line. Great. I'm going to go buy everything. I'm going to get a car. I'm going to get a pool. I'm going to do all the stuff. That would be an awful person for this type of loan. Granted, the loan is structured, so there's never a balloon payment. There's not negative amortization, none of that. And to be honest,
is there a prepayment penalty?
No. If you want to pay this off early, then great. Then you just have this whole line of credit waiting there for you. You use whenever you want, or you never have to use it. And the other cool part of it too is, if you want, let's say a lot of people, what they do is if they have gained equity in their home, and it's getting close to that 30 years, they'll refi and increase their limit and just have it there for them to use as needed. And it's great for those folks too that are worried about what's happening with the recession and everything else. So they just have something to fall back on if they need it, not necessarily use it, but they have that comfort to be able to, pull from their equity. Otherwise, today, what do you have? You have it on paper, but you can't use it, right? This way you can actually not only be proud of the equity that you built in your home, but you can have access to it. So that makes it nice if you want more control.
I'm definitely going to get this and then just buy a bunch of Ferraris. So
a bunch of $800,000 Ferraris.
Yeah, just one $800,000. Can I use stocks in a stock account as collateral?
So you can use, there's a couple ways I can view that question. As far as collateral to buy a home, you can, if you have stocks, you can use it as reserves. Of course, you can use it as assets and reserves. Also, we can do asset depletion, which means that we can convert your assets that are in that stock account into an income number to generate income for you if we need that to qualify for this option, and then also for other types of loans as well. So hopefully that answers your question.
Interesting. What about so the rate changes every day, right?
So it's monthly. So there's 3 different options, and it's based off the CMT, and that's monthly. And so it changes once a month. And the CMT on average, it has a really low average. It's about it's between 2 and 2.9%. And that's not what your rate's going to be. That's just the average for the CMT. But yes, it does change monthly. You do have an option to do a 3-year and a 5-year fixed option, but honestly, you save more with the monthly. Every time we've run a scenario and we looked at past clients, they've saved more with the monthly. Again, because it's simple interest, not amortized interest.
Yeah, Aaron agrees with you. He said that's where the money's at.
Yeah, that's where the money's made, but it still doesn't negatively impact you at the same amount. So who cares if they're making money as long as you're saving money, right?
Yeah. Oh, that's what you reminded me what I was going to end with before is that, so we've had this product since 2005, but it's new to Texas. But since 2005, no one's even had one 30-day late payment on it. And so this has gone through 2008, it's gone through the last couple of years, and no one's even had a 30-day late payment on this. It's because of the nature of it and how it's done, which is nice. Let's see.
Oh man, sorry, Roland. I'm giving you a hard time over here. Have you ever seen that thing on Instagram? They're like, Susie, wake up! I don't like this.
Yeah, of course.
You're looking down, and I'm videoing this, going, Roland, wake up!
Oh no! the half a second that I looked down. Got me.
Sorry. Hey, okay. So Roland, let's bring you back into the fray. The Bay Area sucks. So that was it.
That's it.
So I'm just kidding. So do me a favor. Anybody that's looking at maybe moving to the Bay Area or that's thinking about leaving the Bay Area, what are the reasons you should stay in the Bay and what are the reasons you should leave the Bay?
Stay in the Bay is same as everybody else. It's jobs.
Okay.
Sarah's the goat. But yeah, it's jobs, right? It's not only that, but it's just rolls for it. The comments are hella distracting. I can't not read it while I'm talking. But no, it's also gonna be weather, right? It's gonna be just everything that the Bay Area offers, all the proximity to the nature, things like that. People always ask me what would it take for me to leave. I honestly could probably only do SoCal or like Hawaii. You know what I mean? I'm huge on the weather up here. I'm born and raised, so it's really easy for me to just be really acclimated to all this. Buying in the Bay Area, it's going to be the same thing. Like I said, it's going to be jobs. Leaving the Bay Area, it's to cash out on all the equity that California homeowners have and to go someplace else, right? Like Ian said, most of your sell buys, they were out of the area. That's what I see the most of. But even then, people are going to go to, like I mentioned, Sacramento. Some people Stockton, God forbid. But there's a lot of things that, people do, and it makes sense because that's what retirement's for.
So why would somebody want to retire though in California? Prop 13, as Dan says, Dan's been pretty active on my channel. So thanks, Dan. Equals anyone moving to California ends up paying almost all the taxes for everyone else. You might as well just come in and start buying people college too.
Right. It's family too, right? I mean, there's a lot of people that really want to go and their kids are like, hey, mom, dad, it's not happening. You got to stay here and stick it out with us. So that's another thing as well. You know what I mean? It's people that obviously too can't get away from California. Like I just mentioned, even though I pay an arm and a leg in taxes, I still wouldn't get away from it. I mean, could I go somewhere 6 months out of the year and come back? Sure. That's an option that people have too.
Yeah. And then you can rinse it out the other 6.
Right.
It's like an iPhone. Once you're trapped.
Exactly. You're in it, dude.
You're in it, man.
Yeah.
I got you.
So in this scenario, then, if California is the iPhone, is that just Texas is definitely not the Android, right?
That's what
It's
I'm.
the Google. It's like the Google Pixel. It's on the.
Yeah. Texas isn't the blue dot.
Texas isn't all locked up like California is,
Yeah.
California.
Hey, look, Elon left
zero
California.
You what?
Elon left California. He knows what's up.
He did leave.
He does for the most part. He really does.
Yeah. All right. I think we're at about an hour, and unless anybody's got really something amazing to say, I'm about to cut this out. So Roland, say something really important.
No, I saw a question from God, was it Lucas?
Yeah, Lucas. Yeah.
Asking about property taxes. I mean, pretty simple. 115 to 125 here in my area. You get some fancier areas that can be like 175 that have a bunch of stuff that they've built out and added. So fun stuff there.
If somebody wants to reach out to you in the Bay Area, what's the best way to reach out to you?
At Roland_Osage on Instagram, or as I'm building out this YouTube channel, trying to get on Ian and Jeremy's level, you can do East Bay Living with Roland Osage.
So one thing I want to show everybody real quick is this. Roland's really good at, let me clear this out. Sorry, Mark. Come on, get out of there, Mark. There you go. All right. Roland's very good at video. And so he's got some really creative stuff on here. This one's one of my favorites. He just showed this to me the other day. He does, look at this. Roland was in Too Fast, Too Furious. Look at him. He was in this. You didn't realize that he was Toretto? Look at this.
That's awesome. Toretto.
Cool?
I was Toretto stand-in for a couple of times. So Paul switched some stuff up for me, and I got to have some fun. It was awesome.
Yeah. So Roland's a major actor. One of my other favorite ones that here we go. This is a good one. He's been a stand-in on the late night show. So Jimmy Rowland was going there. So pretty amazing stuff there. I like this one right here, the falling in the bed one. This is a good one. Yoink. Yeah. That's so I wonder if people that are in California wish they could fall into their bed and wake up in Texas. Do you think that's a thing?
All the time.
Yeah. But
their kids won't let them.
Yeah. Oh man. So Mark says, how can we generate all that electricity? Burn coal. but wash it first so it's clean.
That's like
That was funny. That was funny. That was funny.
You got to squirt it with hand sanitizer.
Yeah, 30 minutes outside of downtown Austin feels like living in Bakersfield.
Ooh.
Not even true. Have
That's
you
a
lived-
that's a burn right there.
Oh,
Guys. What are you gonna
man.
come back with on that one?
I mean, maybe if you drove all the way down to San Antonio, but not Austin. Come on. It depends on which direction you're going. You're going towards Bastrop, it feels that way a little bit. It would be tough to convince me to come back to San Francisco. Yeah, my wife would love to go back to the Bay Area, but even being dual income, I find impossible to buy a home there. Good luck, millennials. I agree. Is that really him? All right, everybody. We appreciate you. Have a good one. We'll catch you on the next broadcast. Go find Roland at Roland Osage. Ian of Austin. He's the man. Sarah, Loans with Sarah. She's amazing. We'll catch you.